episode 3 of Between Two Spears. I got my good buddy here from Seattle.
Hey, I'm Sean. How's it going?
What's up, Sean? So you ready to dive into this, buddy?
Let's do this.
Let's do it, man. So Sean took a free dive class with me, level 1, plus intro to spearfishing, about a month and a half ago?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, so when I first met Sean, it was right when the pandemic hit, like peak time, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Paul, he called me up, a good buddy of mine, and he said, hey, Ryan's coming through town. He's got a long layover. I live in Seattle.
Layover, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I was in Hawaii, so, like, the pandemic hit, and I'm stuck out there. I can't work. I gotta get back at home, get back to the family business. It was so hard to find flights, like, because there wasn't enough people flying, like, there wasn't enough flights being offered. So, like, every single flight I could find, I had, like, a 17, 12-hour layover. So I'm not a fan of flying as it is, dude. So I called Paul up, and I'm like, dude, aren't you from Seattle or Oregon or somewhere on the West Coast?
And then Paul gives me a call, says Ryan's cruising through. Pretty much how it happened. He said, go hit him up. So I link up with Ryan at the airport, hung out for a little bit, and then sent him on his way to Florida.
Yeah, dude, you made that trip so much better, man. So then I heard that you're coming out to Florida, and I was like, oh, I got to host him in my home state. I got to show him how we do it over here in Florida. He showed me the hospitality out there in Seattle. It's my turn to pay it back. So we plugged him into a class. You've never been snorkeling, free diving, scuba diving, anything like that before, right?
No, living in Washington, there's water everywhere, but mainly hang out on the lakes. And then if you go out to the Puget Sound or you go out into the ocean, you're usually just surface fishing. So I've never been diving, never went snorkeling prior to coming into Florida 2.5 months ago.
Yeah, well, being best friends with Paul growing up with Paul, we knew we'd have to get you into a class.
Yeah, it's a requirement, I guess. When I got out here, it was more of a requirement. It's like, hey, I know I used to big game hunt up in Washington, so he just was like, hey, we don't hunt like that. We hunt fish out here. So when I got down here, he was like, you're diving. You're a diver now. And so it just kind of showed up. Literally next day.
Bro, you got spoiled. Bro.
Yeah, showed up Thursday evening. Friday afternoon, we're driving down to the Keys so we can go free dive, and go collect and hunt for lobster and shoot fish. So,
have you ever been to Florida before that?
I've been to Florida on the Orlando side, Cocoa Beach side, and I've been to the Keys before, but a whole different experience this time around. Completely different experience.
Within 24 hours of being off the plane, you're in the Keys diving. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a funny thing. I get in the water, and we're diving Paul, and I'm diving with another buddy, Bruce Lee, and we're out on Bruce's boat. And
that's his real name, by the way, guys.
That is not copyrighted. No, that's just his legal name. Yeah.
You'll meet Bruce soon, real soon.
So we're out on his boat, and we start practicing how to dive. Paul showed me how to duck dive, and these guys got spear guns, and I'm like, hey, trying to snorkel around and get comfortable. Super uncomfortable in the water. So Paul's like, yep, no gun for you. So literally I was just the lobster holder. It was pretty fun. They would go down.
The lobster back.
Yeah, so they'd dive down, grab all the lobster off the bottom of the floor, and they'd come up and hand it to me, and I'd bring it to the boat, or I'd sit there and just troll and follow behind Bruce and Paul as they dove all day, as I got comfortable being in the water, second, third day here in Florida, just getting that comfortability for diving.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Well, you went from the best conditions to the absolute worst conditions for your class. So unfortunately, when you had your class, we had 6 to 8 foot seas offshore, couldn't run offshore. Every single local spring was completely flooded and browned out, so we had no opportunity to go out to a spring. So we had to hit a local hole that we call Hudson Grotto, or I call it space. I mean, you dive down, you cannot see your hand in front of you.
I hate it.
And it's not that the water's not clear, it's just there's so much settlement, like broken down leaves and stuff, and there's no flow, so that there's no light penetrating. So you get down there with a flashlight, you can see, but you gotta have a good flashlight to see it. So that was his first experience free diving ever.
Yeah, so I went from going to Keys and 20, 30 feet of water, and it was crystal clear, beautiful weather, mid-90s, and then all of a sudden I show up here in Hudson and dive into this place called the Grotto after kind of doing the first intro day in the pool, and immediately panicked.
I warned you, bro. I warned you. I was like, day one, I was like, all right, guys, y'all want to go this or this? Everyone's like, let's do the Grotto. It's deeper. It's dark. Let's go. I'm not afraid. I'm like, all right, guys, it's dark.
My first response was, yeah, I'm comfortable in the dark. I'm not claustrophobic, but as soon as I dove down, I turned up within 10 feet, and I look at Ryan, and I'm like, this is not for me. I'm completely uncomfortable and out of my comfort zone right now. And he goes, it's all right. Swim around, snorkel around. He's just the mentality and his comfort level in the water kind of helped me settle down as well. just to kind of get back and start diving later that day and start hitting depths for the class.
Now, typically, I would never take new divers here, but being that you're a friend, we're gonna train you like to balls to the wall.
Yeah.
So, like, typically, I do like my level 2s, my level 3 classes after you get your foundation down. But I really like that spot for training because it's so dark. You have no choice but to just focus on the task at hand that you're doing. You know, you don't have any marine life throwing you off. You don't have, you know, anything else, any noises, boat engines, people jumping in the spring or whatnot. It's going to throw off your mental fortitude.
There's some turtles in there having fun with my fins and legs.
They do get a little rapey. They do get a little rapey. But, I mean, you learn to dive in that spot, and that's one of the darkest, absolutely worst conditions as far as visibility. But now that you mastered that, you can go anywhere and you can dive and be comfortable.
Yeah, I would agree. So I started at the Keys and then went to the Grotto, and the Grotto was super uncomfortable, and I was just trying to get my bearings under me at that point. A few weeks later, we go to a spring, and it was the most comfort I've ever felt in the water. I was completely relaxed. The water was crystal clear. I could see all the way to the bottom.
What spring was that again?
It was
Orange Grove? Yeah, Peacock Orange Grove.
Peacock Screes. Yeah,
thing,
Peacock Springs, and it's gorgeous. It was 40, 45 feet down. I was just, this is amazing. This is awesome. Lots of ledges to grab a hold of and hang out and sit down there and just practice my breath holds. But it was a night and day difference just being in that uncomfortable scenario in the Grotto and then being able to go to a clear spring and having the complete comfort level just because I can see. That was all it was.
Yeah. You did great, man. You crushed it in your first class. I know you're static. You did awesome. You know, typically newer divers that haven't really dove before or comfortable in the water, equalization's a big hinder for them. And you were very lucky that you mastered Frenzel very quickly and
Yeah, I haven't had any problems equalizing so far. The first day I was out in the Keys, that was the first thing Paul kind of showed me. He was like, hey, go down there. When you feel the pressure, clear your ears. If you don't have a problem with that, and he's like, you're great start. We can get the breath holds. We can get the technique. You have no bad habits. We can get you to the point where you're diving for depth now, and we're in deep blue water. But if you can equalize and you don't have any issues and your sinuses are good, he's like, that's half the battle right there. So we can figure out everything else. Everything else is trainable and coachable.
Yeah, absolutely. So where's your most memorable moment of the class, man?
So my most memorable moment of the class was there's a gentleman on the first day, and we're all in a pool doing statics. I didn't really understand, you know, I'm doing the online classes and stuff like that, understanding these static scenarios and how you're holding your breath underwater and you're just working out your lungs there. There's this gentleman, he was a rescue swimmer.
Yep.
And he was my partner for statics, and he was a cool guy, and he does his static, and this guy was going to the point where he was going to pass out. It was unreal, the type of focus that he had for his static and the willpower just to stay
underwater. And he
underwater.
said in the class, he was like, dude, I'm here to black out. Like, I signed up to black out.
Yeah, he would be shaking, and we'd be tapping, and he would just be like, I'm good. And to a certain point where Ryan, for safety reasons, we had to pull him up just because it was like, all right, you're done here. Yep, you're good. You didn't respond fast enough that go around, so we're pulling him out of his own static. And he's looking at us just completely blue and purple in the face and lips, and he's just and just enjoying. And that was the most memorable thing because I saw how far he could push his limits.
Yeah.
It just goes to show me that I have a lot more left in the tank.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I remember.
And a real life scenario, like you witness an LMC. So
correct, yeah.
If you're ever on a spring or at a boat, you don't have to hesitate. You know exactly, go to rescue mode, exactly what to do, dude.
Speaking of rescue modes, talk about the uncomfortability in the Grotto. So we're diving down and we're doing rescue swims at depth. And again, this is my second week in Florida. So literally dove, worked out. I'm in this new area, new season. It's hot. I'm sweating. Basically, my body was just getting shocked into this new environment that I was in. So we're doing the rescue dives to depth, and Ryan goes down. I swim down. I grab a hold of Ryan. I start lifting him up with my clamshell, and I grab a hold of his chin. I'm looking to go up. My right calf just completely locks up and cramps. And it's not just, you know, you have some of those bad cramps and everything like that, and you can kind of shake them off. This was complete locked up. I was worried now about getting to the surface myself. I push Ryan off of me and start waving my
Dude,
hands
I'm just like
frantically.
fake blacked out, and I feel you grab me and put me in the proper technique, and you're kicking me up, and all of a sudden, I just feel you just throw me aside like I'm like some piece of trash or something, dude.
He was so relaxed. You were so relaxed and calm, and your eyes are closed. You were sleeping, so I was concerned. Like, hey, I'm in trouble. Rescue dive me. Like, this is. You need to turn around and grab me. We get to the surface, and I just start moaning and groaning and trying to grab my fin. Everybody's like, "What's going on?" And I'm just cramping and just and everybody's laughing. It was a good time. It was all safe and easy. No one got hurt, so it was a pretty funny scenario when it comes to
That
the
video's
rescue diving.
definitely going in the slide now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Paul was there at the grotto, and he caught it all on video, so we have that memory locked in for the rest of our lives. So
yeah, we're gonna play for you guys. Let us guys know what you think about it. So fast forward after your class, 2-3 weeks later, you went offshore with Tampa with Paul, dove straight into spearfishing. How'd that go?
So that's the big thing for me. That's what I enjoy most about this diving, besides how it makes me feel mentally and physically. So I feel completely relaxed and clear every time I'm done diving. But when I'm out there, like I said, I used to big game hunt, so I like the hunting aspect of this entire spearfishing community and the camaraderie and the teamwork and how everybody comes together and makes it all happen when you're out on the water, because it's you and your team out there. So
yeah, that big fish, it isn't one guy just landing and putting it. It takes 3-4 guys all working together, communicating together, and I agree, man. That's one of the best things about the sport. I love it.
Yeah, and there's just nothing better than offshore with your best friend in a boat, and we're diving and we're hunting fish. But my first experience was pretty funny. We go to one of Paul's spots, and first time I've had a gun in my hand, and Paul's showing me how to load it and check it out. And so we go down, and he's like, we're diving. I feel a lot more comfortable. We're probably in 20-30 feet of water, and we're diving to the bottom and grabbing a hold of some structures and stuff and hanging out and hunting. So Paul's pointing out a couple fish that he thinks are good targets. So it was a spade fish. And then
big target.
Big target, big easy target.
Not very spooky.
Didn't move at all. And so I shot that. I was like, oh, this is easy, And Paul's laughing, and he kind of thinks that I'm getting more confident with diving and spearfishing. But Paul's laughing, and then all of a sudden he goes, go shoot a snapper. So next thing you know, he's swimming around. He just hears the gun pop. Then I'm loaded. Pop! He just hears the gun go off. I shoot probably 30 times after hitting my first 2 fish that were just target practice, sheep's head and a spadefish. So then I go hunt these snappers, and I take 20, 30 shots in a row. Didn't hit a single one.
They're quick little guys.
Wasn't even close. Come up, my chest is sore from loading the gun. Granted, this is, again, my first time ever having a spear gun in my hand, so my chest is completely sore from loading the gun 20, 30 times. I'm tired from doing these consistent drops, chasing these snapper everywhere, and they're just darting off everywhere. I look at Paul, and I'm like, man, my chest is sore. I haven't hit a single snapper, and he just busts up laughing. So it was a good time. It was a good experience, and then after talking to him, he tells me what the technique is to hunting. And completely different story next time I went out on the boat. Yeah. Shot a snapper. You're
never gonna outswim that fish. You're in their environment.
That's what I learned real quick. I was diving down and chasing these snappers as soon as they turn away, and I'd already lost my chance at that fish. At that point, I was just chasing because I knew better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that buck fever. You just see that tunnel vision and that targeted species, and you just want to beeline for it.
And that's
hard to fight
really
that urge. It is.
Yeah. But when I got out there, and I kind of understood how they give you one a little opportunity sometimes if they come broadside on you.
Yeah, they're curious by nature. So if you're not acting like like predator and you're not treating them like prey, then for the most part they'll come up to you, check you out.
Yeah, it was a night and day difference when I actually relaxed and I started getting down to the bottom and holding out and actually watching these fish and how they're moving and how they interact with me and how they interact with their environment. And that next time it was snapper this and then hogfish that, and it was an awesome time. Came back and cooked it up. It was a good day.
Here in North Florida, we're super blessed, man. Like days we can't get offshore, like today, for instance. Seas are super rough, 6-8 foot seas. We're not gonna go out there. Most of the time, you got pool's your next option. Well, for us in North Florida, we got the springs, dude. We're so lucky to have those springs. My favorite spring up here is Beaufort, dude. It's right down the road. We're super lucky to be able to go train there whenever can't get offshore.
Yeah, I love Beaufort. I went there for the first time 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last weekend, and it was gorgeous. It was cool how it goes down, and it kind of goes back into a tunnel and almost into a cavern and a cave down there. And it's got a couple ledges that have pretty good depth to them for training purposes. Get down there, take a seat, hold on to it, and just kind of practice those breath holds and in that bottom time.
Yeah,
so,
even if you're only doing like 1 or 2 drops, I mean, like serious drops. I mean, that's better than sitting at home not diving all that weight because you can't get offshore.
Yeah, so with the weather being like it is and the viz being like it is, and I'm no expert myself, so I kind of rely on my buddies and the people that I fish with to kind of give me the heads up as I learn this type of stuff. I've been using the springs a lot for training and diving, and that's helped me just with Ryan's class and his intro to spearfishing class and diving intro to freediving class. I wouldn't be where I am today without that class giving me that introduction and teaching me these techniques, and then getting uncomfortable, but then getting more comfortable as the time went on. In the springs, being able to dive those springs and train at those springs, it's made a big difference for me.
And then applying those techniques you learn in the springs to the ocean is huge. Like it's a controlled environment, a lot of waves, a lot of currents, so you can actually practice those techniques we require in your class. And then when it comes time to actually go offshore and hunt, you already got all that dialed in. So you're there to hunt.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, no previous experience. 2 days in, I'm diving and practicing depth diving. Now I'm diving down to 50 feet, hanging out at the bottom and shooting fish and enjoying these springs and everything like that. And
That's
just
awesome,
this nature and the serenity of the whole dive community and everything like that. And I just love the way it makes me feel, from a mental and physical standpoint. I'm completely relaxed when I get done at the end of the day and clear-minded, and it's refreshing. It's a re-energizing thing for me for the end of the week to start back up again on Monday and go back to work and get back into that daily rat race.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm stoked, man. It's going to be an epic summer and epic season, dude. You haven't even spent a whole summer in Florida yet.
Yeah, it's wintertime, and I'm used to the cold, but my suit flooded the other day, and it was pretty chilly. I was swimming and darting back to that boat after unhooking the anchor, and I haven't felt chilled like that in a while, being down in Florida in 90-degree weather. So it was a breath of fresh air for sure.
It stops
my breath away.
Stops you like right in your tracks every time.
Yeah, it reminds me of home a little bit when you take off that jacket outside. You know what I mean? So it's a good time.
Hey guys, back at home, let us know what you guys think about the episode. Please do us a favor. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's how we get activated in the algorithm. If you guys want to see any future topics or any recommendations, just put them in the comments. Thanks, guys.